What is up, everyone? It is Ryan Lee here, and I am so excited. In fact, I am honored to have the man, the myth, and the legend, Chad Peyton, on this call with me today. Here's the reality. CashFlow Tactics has been around for quite some time, but more than anything, CashFlow Tactics was an idea inside of my head, Brad's head, and Jimmy's head. And it was something that we were operating and working together and really, perfecting for ourselves, but we didn't really have CashFlow Tactics until we had a few people, and Chad was the first of the few people that came and said, look, how do we spend more time together? How do we put a program together to where I can be free, right? Chad can be free. And Chad, you were one of the very first people that really helped us start building CashFlow Tactics, not just for ourselves, but for other people. And Chad, with that in mind, I'm grateful and I'm honored to welcome you on this call. Today, what I want to do is just kind of walk through your story. Does that work for you?
Yeah, sounds good, Ryan.
So Chad, it's been almost 4 years. I can't believe it's been that long, but I'll never forget. I'll still never forget some of the conversations I had. I was driving back from Denver, and you and I were just getting your policy finalized. We were talking about the details of it, and I think I dropped your call like 3 times driving through the mountains. But from that point to this point, from an outsider perspective, from my perspective, your life has fundamentally changed. You, as an individual, have fundamentally changed. So let's walk back in time. Let's walk back through history, and let's talk about where you were, 4 or 5 years ago inside of your financial plan.
Yeah. So I remember, vividly being at my desk at work, and I do have a great job. It's something I'm passionate about. I fly helicopters for a living.
That's a pretty good job.
Yeah, it's fun, and the schedule's great. I get tons of time with my family. But honestly, I just wasn't happy. I just felt like something was lacking, something was missing, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And I started to see a lot. I started reading a lot about the FIRE movement, and I, just that idea of being financially independent. And I stumbled across something on LinkedIn from Jimmy. And I think he had just posted about.
Wait, does LinkedIn let Jimmy on LinkedIn? Like, they don't have terms and conditions. They allow Jimmy to be on LinkedIn. That's crazy.
Yeah. Oddly enough, they'll let anybody that wants to post. Just about anything. They just censor as they see fit, I guess. But yeah, so I ran across this, and I went to school with Jimmy at West Point, and I came across this. Him just talking about selling real estate and how beneficial it was and how you could just buy houses and you'd be financially free. And I thought, sweet. So I called Jimmy and said, hey, I don't really care how this works. Just kind of explain it to me, and then let's just get started, And he said, okay, but I won't sell you a house until you talk to my friends, Ryan and Brad. And that's when I was introduced to you guys. But yeah, at the end of the day, I was just running. Like, what I remember vividly from that time at my desk is sitting there and seeing how much more I could save into my 401k. And what I was coming up with is that even like 10% more, 15% more, 20% more savings was just giving me these incremental result increases on the backside of that.
Yeah.
And so I was just frustrated. I didn't know what to do.
And I remember that's where we met. And you leading into our first meeting, you had already been searching. You had already been doing your due diligence. And I remember just talking to you and how stuck you felt inside of your financial plan. Mm-hmm. And I think, one of the things that stands out about you, and you represent so many of the people inside of the CashFlow Tactics community, you knew that you were meant for more. You knew that you were capable of more. And you knew that one of the things that was holding you back was money. And right. In that endless pursuit of money and crossing your fingers and hoping for one day, you felt stuck, right? And no matter what you threw at a 401k, I remember talking to you about this idea of not really being in control of the outcome. And maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, but that gave you so much anxiety that you were in a position where that frustration, that determination was willing to spill over, and you were willing to do something different. I remember that first game plan and launching this over. So let's talk a little bit about that. You got to the point where we did a game plan. We mapped out with your resources, your goals, the money that you had, the money you were saving, and you're a good saver. we mapped out what you had to do differently. And when we went through that, it wasn't, hey, let's do a little bit of everything better. It was
Right.
the exact opposite. How did that initial game plan go for you? What were your thoughts after we got done with that game plan?
You know, I think I was reluctant. You know, I think anybody is when it comes to spending and or investing your money, especially when you're investing in yourself, right? Because you don't do that once you get done with college. You know, normally our culture is like, okay, you're done investing in yourself. That's it. You've done your investment. Now you just go produce, right? Don't invest in yourself. Just go earn money, right? And save that money, put it in the 401k. And so I was reluctant. So I did a ton of research on it, you know, reading Nelson Nash, just anything I could find on the infinite banking concept and whole life. And then, you know, I was also reluctant to commit to what we committed to, but the way it's structured, I felt comfortable. But I just didn't think that I didn't know if I could do it. I didn't know if I could execute the game plan. So seeing that, you know, just made me, you know, I was coming from this place of scarcity that I didn't know that I could do it. Right.
I remember having that conversation with you in the beginning, because, you know, we didn't go all in the beginning. We went fairly in. I mean, we took some major steps forward when we set up your vault, and then, you know, started pulling it out for real estate, major steps forward, but it wasn't all in up front.
Yeah.
And here's the thing I remember, and this is the thing that I think has stood out about you specifically, and the results that we're going to talk about here as we go through this. You realized the only thing that was standing in the way of you being financially free wasn't a vault, wasn't real estate, wasn't more investments. It was you.
Yep.
And the most powerful part of that realization, guys, and this is why we built CashFlow Tactics. Chad helped shape so much of the messaging of CashFlow Tactics. Behind me, when it says rise up, that's not just for fun, right? That is what is required. In order for someone to be financially free, it starts on the inside. We were just having this conversation offline. It starts on the inside with you investing in your mindsets, being able to see a vision that no one else can see, translating that mindset into a skill set, transactable skill set in the physical world, and your network. And Chad, over the last 4 years, I have watched you invest over and over and over and over again in yourself. And that, my friend, in my opinion, has produced the results that we're going to talk about. Is you've gained mindset, skill sets, and network. You've constantly been able to expand yourself and expand the possibility of what's possible in your life. And you've risen to the challenge to become the person necessary to pull the future into the present. And Chad, that's been such a fun, just an experience to watch you as helping you build a game plan, giving you a path, and then watching you rise to that challenge over the years. Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, over the years, how did you continually stay engaged in the process of rising up?
You know, I think that, like you said, in the beginning, I wasn't willing to go all in, so to speak. But then as soon as I started seeing results, and the more I informed myself, the more I learned, the more I studied, the more I talked to people, networked, just expanded my circle of people that were doing this. And I just asked questions. And honestly, it's exploring, right? It's kind of fun. You get into this world and you start looking at different avenues and reading about 1031 exchanges and cash out refinances. And you just learn and learn and learn and listen. And the more I learned, the more I realized all these people that are out here doing it, they're no different than me, you know? And the only way for me to get the results that I want is to take agency over my life. And just, you are the one that controls and builds, you know, your life. And once I had that realization, I thought, well, I can build whatever I want, you know?
Oh man, that's so powerful. So powerful. Because on the other side of rising up is the live free, right? And the live free, once you rise up, it's exactly what you mentioned. You realize you are the producer. You are the one capable of building the life that you want. No one's going to give it to you. Right? You're not going to elect the next president who's going to step in and legislate it into existence. You become the producer that builds the life and ultimately gives you the freedom that you're seeking. So we built your game plan. you took a major step forward and you started getting results. Let's talk a little bit about what you did inside of your game plan and what results you started seeing.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I just followed the game plan. I gathered whatever available capital I had available, whether that was through my 401k, whether that was through, just savings I had. And I started purchasing properties and I started seeing the cash flow and just honestly rinsed and repeated. And like I said, once I saw those results and once I saw the power of the system, I fully went all in. I just fully committed, said, you know what, I'm just going to go. And, I stripped equity out of my house, increased my reserves so I can never be concerned about, the coronavirus tanking the stock market. I don't care, because if that impacts the housing markets, I have a big fat reserve that I sit on that makes me feel really good. And I know I don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah. And you didn't buy the properties for equity, right? I mean, equity happens over time. You bought the properties for cash flow.
Totally. Yeah. And so once that cash flow started coming in, and here's a part, that I think a lot of people, initially don't see until you've gone through some distance through this, right? Initially, I thought that going through this whole process and becoming financially free, like, boom, that was going to be the golden ticket. Now I would be happy all the time, right? And what it did was it creates space. And once you understand that using the principles and the tactics that are set out here will inevitably lead you to financial independence if you stay true to the principles, then that just opens up a space where now you have to figure out what it is that you actually want.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. The tactics are easy. Going and buying real estate, buying vaults, saving money, that's the easy part. Once you realize that, oh, wait a minute, this is actually going to happen. Now I have to figure out what I want my life to look like, how I want to live. That's the part where you have to do some soul searching. But once you figure that out, the power of coming from that place to continue to build it out is, that now it just becomes fun because there's no stress. There's no desire, it's just happening.
Love that, Chad. And I totally 100% agree with that. I mean, your why has nothing to do with real estate. It has nothing to do with how many vaults you have. It has nothing to do with a pretty game plan.
Right.
It has everything to do with what you want, your unique God-given drive in this life and the talents that you can exercise in the service of other people and being present in the moments, not living for the future. And that's where I struggled with my game plan. And I think you and I kind of went through a very similar journey.
I think everybody goes through that journey.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I saw this
constantly going through. It's not over. It's just it's always going to be there.
It's always there. And the best part about it is like the cash flow greater than expenses, the financial freedom lifestyle. It's not a destination. And I think a lot of people come into this thinking it's, well, when I get there, then I'll be happy. You realize it's a constant journey. Like when you get to wherever there is, you're going to recast what that vision is and become the next version of Chad that you want to become. And your financial plan just fuels and fires you. And I like one aspect that you said, and I want to talk a little bit about this. You said the cash flow, the game plan and the results that you were getting gave you space.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave you space to go not outward, but inward to figure out what you wanted. And I remember this might have been maybe a year or maybe 18 months ago. I remember there was a time in your career where you love what you do, but your boss came to you and asked you, hey, Chad, we've got to shake things up a little bit, and asked you to start working nights and weekends.
Yeah.
And I remember you made a post on this. You called me about this. We talked a little bit about it. What did your financial plan and what you had built up to that point give you the confidence to say to your boss?
Yeah. So prior to this request, my dilemma was that I really cherish the time I get to spend with my family and the time I get to just go surf, go hike, do the things that I want to do, live how I want to live. But I was always conflicted because I know I wanted to also shore up my family's financial, that aspect of our life. And so my conflict was, do I do the things I want to do that I really love doing, or should I go work overtime to make sure I can, make sure my family is financially secure? And so by executing this game plan, it just stripped that away. I no longer need to do that. And so I was able to just tell my boss, hey, I appreciate the offer, but I don't want to work any extra. And my contract says that this is what I'll work, you know, and I didn't have to go that deep into it. Honestly, I just told him, hey, I can't, I've got a family to raise right now.
You told your boss no.
No. Yeah.
Your boss no. I never felt like, until I hit the same point you did in my professional career, I never felt confident telling my boss no. If he asked me, I said, how high? Like if he told me to jump, I said, how high? If I had to move, I said, okay, I'll pack up and I'm going. You know, that was kind of what the career was for me, because I was dependent on that income.
Mm-hmm.
And now, yes, maybe I could have got another job, but I lived in scarcity in the traditional financial world. I lived in scarcity because all my money was in a 401k. And if my boss told me to do something, I did it. You, on the other hand, had built a version of freedom outside of your, your 9 to 5. And when your boss asked you to trade more of your precious time, you came back and told him no.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really powerful concept. Guys, your most important resource, the thing that you never get back, is your time. And we're all, we all kind of believe that we're endless beings that are going to live forever and no one's going to die. We all kind of have that immortality inside of us where we think that it's never going to happen to us. But man, when your time is out, do you regret not having worked enough? Do you regret having not worked the weekends or saved enough money or whatever it might be? No, you regret the time that you didn't take to cherish the moments, to be with your family, to raise your kids, to date your wife, to do the things that are really important in life. Mm-hmm. So, Chad, it's been awesome watching your game plan grow. And if you're open to it, when we first started, we built a vault. And if you're open to kind of just sharing some numbers, you don't have to get specific, but just sharing some numbers, what you've built over the last, what's it been, like 36 months, give or take?
It's been it's just shy of 3 months, or 3 years rather. We started this in March 2017, really got it going in July of 2017. So we're about 3 years since I got introduced to this platform and you guys.
Just an FYI, it's really hard to get helicopter pilots approved for vaults, so it took a little bit of time to get.
that was the time-consuming part, getting me approved for a vault.
Yeah. So let's talk the 3 years. You started hesitant. You took some major steps, but you started hesitant. Tell us about what the last 3 years, what you've been able to build.
Yeah. So I think initially when we started a game plan, we were going to do a savings transfer. I think I had $100K in savings. And so we were going to put that in over a 2-year period. So 50K the first year, 50K the second year. And, going forward, having the option to maintain the 50,000 or obviously dropping it down significantly less. And if I remember correctly, the first year I was supposed to buy 2 houses. The second year I was supposed to buy 2 houses. And I don't remember what the third year, maybe it was 2 or 3 again.
I'm looking on your game plan. The third year you were supposed to buy 3.
Okay. So I think I bought 5 the first year, 4 the second year, 3 the third year, and I also partnered up and bought a 20-unit multifamily complex. So significantly different.
Significantly different and significantly bigger and better. The game plan, like what we tell people in a game plan is a game plan isn't your path. A game plan is just a possibility of what can be become a reality. You saw that possibility and you doubled down and went over time all in. And those results have manifested in now, with a 20-unit complex and 11 properties, you're at 31 doors.
Yep.
How many vaults do you have now?
2.
2 vaults, 31 doors. And overall, what is your feeling around your financial plan today?
It's, you guys always talk about the metaphor of the rocket, and I feel like at this point I've broke free of gravity and it's just growing on its own. You look up and you would think by buying all those properties that my primary vault would be empty and it would just be majority loans that were out on it, but it's almost completely full right now, and so it's just in that stage of growth where it's just growing all on its own. And it's kind of cool because now I can continue to help that. And, it's kind of like a garden, right? It's like now it's growing, it's established, and all I've got to do is weed and trim and water and, it's just continuously growing. And, now having the knowledge and the experience that I have under my belt, that's what gave me the courage, honestly, to go out and try the multifamily space, to go out and create more capital to continue to buy more real estate.
Heck yeah. Well, Chad, I've got to tell you, man, it's been such a fun opportunity for me to watch your journey. Two last questions for you, Chad. How do you feel CashFlow Tactics helped? In the beginning, CashFlow Tactics didn't exist, right? It was you and me talking and you talking to Jimmy. And then we started doing some group meetings. You helped us really get the idea of let's pull a like-minded group of people together and let's meet together. That's now evolved into the Empire Mastermind and CashFlow Tactics and digital education and everything that is CashFlow Tactics today. But from the start to where it is today, how has CashFlow Tactics helped you in not just your financial plan, but in your life, rise up, live free?
Yeah, it's, obviously the tactics behind the financial side, you will, if you follow the tactics and the principles, you will become financially independent. If you, and how fast you get there is going to be determined by, number one, how fast you want to get there. And number two, how willing are you to take agency over your game plan, right? So that's inevitable, right? You just follow the tactics, talk to everybody, engage, get involved in the community, and take agency, and you will become financially independent. Outside of that, though, for me personally, and I can't say this is going to happen for everybody, but knowing that financial independence is inevitable made me start to really ask myself some big questions on what I want my life to look like, what makes me happy, and not just transient moments of happiness. And it just led me on an inward facing journey and just honestly finding tranquility in life, which is huge because that's what we're all after, right? However you define it, at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want that deep sense of peace, right? And it's enabled me to turn around and find that faster, and now to be able to live from that space to being completely free in every aspect, not just financially.
Man, Chad, that is so powerful. Love your journey, my friend. And I love the fact that you've embraced this as a lifestyle, right? It's not a destination. It's not one day. Like you become what you decide to create. And you've been a creator. You've been a producer inside of your game plan. You've created space for financial freedom, but more importantly, space for self-discovery. And it's been amazing watching you. Any last words of wisdom for people that walk yourself back to 3 to 4 years ago? Any last words of wisdom for those people who are searching for something more than they currently have?
Yeah. So, it's easy to say, okay, stop that searching, find yourself real quick.
Find yourself real quick, huh?
Yeah, real quick. I would just say to keep pursuing your goals, but don't forget about, self-discovery. To me, it's almost more important. There's a really good quote that I heard the other day and I really like, I don't know who said it, but it's a test pilot and he's flying a jet, and mission control or, whatever dispatch comes in and says, "Hey, where are you at?" And he says, "I don't know, but I'm getting there at record speed." Right? So it's like, if you don't know where you're going, like you can go as fast as you want, but it might be the wrong damn direction. So take the time to sit down, and don't do this independently. Do it in conjunction with. That's going to get you there faster. Continue to reach out to achieve your goals, but take the time, whether it's whatever, work on your spirituality. There's a lot of different aspects to do that. And, I'm just glad that I was doing that in parallel with this, because it really did get me to the place where I know what I want a little bit faster.
Heck yeah. So for those of you that have had a game plan, for those of you who haven't had a game plan, in your game plan, everything begins and ends with what do you want? Getting a clear vision in your mind, in your mind's eye, because just as Chad said, if you have no idea where you're going, then it doesn't matter what path you take. Our path could be just as good as any other path. It doesn't matter unless you know what you want. But then translating that vision out of your head and putting it in your heart, getting emotionally committed to what that means, right? I know Chad personally. I know he's a very committed father. He's a very committed, husband. He's a very committed, even at what he does for his profession. He's a committed individual. So he knows what he wants. He's emotionally invested in building and living the life that he cares about. And then the next thing isn't, okay, go buy vaults and real estate. It's who must you become?
Yeah.
If you're clear on what you want, then vaults and real estate and a game plan just empower you in that process to remove the roadblock of money and open up the space for you to consider what would your ideal life look like if it wasn't driven, if your time wasn't driven on money. It's a whole different game. Chad, it's been awesome having you on this call today. It's been awesome just hearing your story. I appreciate you sharing with the other people, the other empire builders who are in the game, those who are just getting going, and those who are considering what their life would look like, feel like, and be like if money wasn't the primary driver of their life. Chad, thank you so much, my friend.
I appreciate that, Ryan. It was great talking to you.